Yellowjacket. She's coming to us live from Frank Phillips College. Brianna, tell us where that's at.
It's in Borger, Texas. It's like an hour north of Amarillo. So it's 11 hours from the valley. So.
You're quite a ways from home. Well, welcome to the show, Brianna. We're glad to have you on. So we're gonna start things off just talking about this we were talking earlier, just catching up on how you've been, and I understand that you just moved into your dorm just a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like for you moving in? I'm sure it was a pretty long drive, 11 hours. But what was the whole moving?
Yeah, it really was.
What was the whole moving process like for you?
Well, right now I'm like a walk-on right now. So I'm the 19th member on the team. So I have a room to myself. So that's pretty awkward. And the moving in process was pretty like easy. Like we had a lot of stuff already like ready for me to go. And it was just really emotional, like saying bye to my parents.
All right, and when do you guys start school, or have y'all started already?
We actually started today.
Okay, so today was your first day.
Yes.
Walk us through what was that like, and how are you guys handling doing your classes?
Oh, well, here there's not really many cases over here. Like I think last time we said there was like 2 or 4 cases here.
Wow.
It's a really small town, and they don't have like mask restrictions or anything over here. But I wear my mask because like I've seen COVID before in the valley, so
Right.
I still like wear it a lot. But up here, like the people don't really wear them. It's really awkward, like to me, because they see me and they're like, "Oh, she has a mask on," and I'm just there, like I've seen it. So
Right,
yeah.
definitely just playing it safe. So all your classes are all in person.
Yes.
Are there any guidelines in class, or is it just as is?
Oh, well, we don't have desks. We have tables. So they ask
Okay.
like you have a chair in between or 2 chairs between each other. But the classes are supposed to be really small classes. Like my first class this morning only had like 8 people in it. So
Okay. Winding the clock back, just a couple months when you were still in high school, you were a senior this year playing for Edcouch-Elsa, and you guys were, like we talked earlier, you guys were 3-0 in district play, getting ready to take on Mercedes, and which would have been a really good game. I know I had planned on being at that game. And then everything hits. The pandemic hits that Friday, and we all go through the levels of uncertainty. And we seen, the season gets put on pause, and then eventually the season gets canceled officially. Just for you as a senior, what was it like going through those different levels of uncertainty?
well, like when we saw the whole pandemic like going down, we kind of like figured it was gonna happen, but we didn't think it would all happen so fast either. And well, like the whole thing, like just getting canceled, I was like, okay, we're gonna go back this month, or we're gonna go back like within this amount of time. But it was just like it kept getting pushed back, and it was like the more it kept getting pushed back, it was like it's not gonna happen. Like it took me a while to accept it, but eventually I did. And then, well, summer ball started up, and I played that. So.
What was that Friday you guys played against Donna, correct? That last game y'all played. Going into that game, was there any questions? Did you guys feel like any like there was this uncertainty that you guys were going into this game thinking maybe this could be the last game we play, this might not be the last game we play, or just what was the feel like for you guys that Friday?
Oh, well, the baseball boys, they had a tournament, I want to say in Edinburgh, and I had a baseball boys in my first class. So they told me like, oh, they canceled this, and then the track people were like, oh, we have a meet, but they canceled this. So I was like, oh, what does that mean for like our game tonight? So like all the girls started texting like, what's gonna happen tonight? And our coach was like, we haven't gotten word yet, but like it looks like we're still on. But I had left school because I felt like I was really emotional because I was like, what if this is like my whole season's just like gone? So I was like pretty emotional, so I went home, and then I forgot what I did, but I left. I left home. I stayed there, and then my coach texted me, and he's like, "Hey, we have to be at the field by this time. Like, let everybody know." So I did, and we showed up, and it was like there was people there, but we felt like, is there too much people here, or like should we be distancing ourselves? Like, what's going on? But we had an idea like that was gonna be our last game.
Right. Yeah. And then, at that time, I don't think the social distancing was in our minds as much as it is now. So I think, for me, we went and we did a game in Brownsville. Actually, Mercedes and Brownsville Vets played that Friday, and we were there. We did that game, and everything still seemed normal, but it kind of felt like we were heading towards, you know,
Yeah, like it was
uh,
gonna get bad somewhere. So,
right. And there was a little bit of kind of like, okay, like don't get close to me, too close, or what do we do, or how do we handle it, and whatnot. But it definitely wasn't the same. It wasn't your normal Friday night softball game. Um, what was the team's
yeah.
reaction like? What was the team's reaction like when you guys officially got word that the season was canceled?
Um, well, they were like pretty bummed out. They're well, the girls were more bummed out like for the seniors themselves. Like
Hmm.
they weren't being selfish in a way like, oh, my junior year is gone. They were like, this was supposed to be our seniors year. Like
Hmm.
they were really helpful. And they like reached out to me, like almost all of them reached out to me and asked me like, hey, how do you feel about this? Or they asked me like, oh, if you need to talk about this, you can talk about it. Like they're really understanding. And they were kind of like sad about it, but they were more concerned for us rather than themselves.
Right. And then, for you, you had, travel ball to look forward to, and you play on Accelerate. And we actually had a couple of your buddies here on this show earlier this summer from Accelerate. Coach Joe had reached out to us. But for those that don't know, just tell us who Team Accelerate is and where you guys are out of.
Well, it's mainly like the PSGA and La Jolla area. I'm the only one from Edcouch-Elsa that plays with them, but my cousin Sam, she played with them, and then she was like, "Oh, hey, I have a cousin and she plays," so they're like, "Oh, well, bring her on, right?" So
Hmm.
I just went on over, and then
Right.
yeah, like I got really close with all of them.
And we saw summer ball being one of the things that we did get to see, and you guys did get to be, you guys were able to play in that. Just what was the summer like for you playing in a really a COVID world this past summer when it came to softball? Just what were those things like for you?
Well, our coach took a lot of precautions. Like he always like brought him out, like bring your mask when you show up to your games, wear them in your dugouts, and like we'd always sanitize. Like they always had, if one coach didn't have a bottle, then all of the other coaches had bottles, or the girls would bring bottles themselves. So we like took precautions and everything still. But when we had went up to Huber Ranch, like the other teams that were
Hmm.
from like upper, like out of the valley, they
Hmm.
weren't taking precautions, or they weren't like, it was like there was nothing there. But we were the
Right.
only team like with our masks and everything. But they play safely about everything. So that was really good and smart of them.
Throughout the summer, did you? I mean, for me, I felt as if it was just a roller coaster because we were supposed to go to Huber Ranch, but then we didn't because of the virus, and then we were supposed to go to Bishop for a tournament, then that got canceled. Just left and right tournaments getting canceled, and I know coaches were scrambling for tournaments. We were up and down, yes, no. So for me, it felt like a roller coaster. That
Yeah.
yes, with all the yeses and nos. Did you guys kind of feel the same way? Like, okay, we know we have that tournament on Friday, but we just don't know if it's gonna happen for sure yet.
Yeah, we did, but we just stayed practicing, like, despite anything, because we knew, like, oh, if we're gonna say we're gonna attend this tournament, there's a chance it might get canceled. So we just kept practicing for if the tournament ever came, you know.
And for you, you mentioned you still have one more year of eligibility with your travel ball, so you'll be able to be back next summer with Accelerate. So you're still not done when it comes to the travel ball scene. But what stood out to you this past summer, or what were some things that you saw in your game that you liked?
Um, well, I don't know, like, I liked how, like, smart they were. Like, they weren't like, let's just jump right into the field and do this. Like, we took precautions with everything.
Hmm.
And I like that they played things safe rather than like I've seen other teams where like they just get in there, they don't show up a mask or anything. But like our coaches care about our safety, and I really appreciate that.
And as far as on the field goes, I understand you're a slapper, you're a slap hitter. Did you see your game? Maybe did you have one of your better summers that you felt, or how did you feel that you played this summer?
My summer, I guess I did all right. I kind of fell into a slump like when we didn't play, but I think because also I was just like, oh man, like this is it, like it's over, you know. So
Hmm.
I kind of just like let up, and then I got back into it like a week after after it took me a while to like accept everything. But I like fell into a slump in the beginning, and then eventually like I started coming around again.
For some people that don't really watch softball all too much, or that are just getting used to watching the game, they always wonder what slappers are doing, and they're like, well, why do they bat like that, or why don't they just stand there and bat? So for those that don't understand, could you maybe just explain it to the fans that this is what a slapper does and this is why we do it?
Well, like slappers, like for slappers, you kind of want them to have speed already. So like they take 2 or 3 steps out, or like they get out into the box, and it's like basically a little advantage to first base. So you're like, if you're a slapper, you're supposed to get on base, basically.
And
Yeah, it's for speed.
and you're also left-handed. You have
I'm
that advantage.
right-handed.
Oh, you're right-handed.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
when I transferred to also my freshman year, Coach Flores made me left-handed, so now I've been slapping since then.
Okay. Oh wow. So you made the switch then. So how difficult was that for you to switch sides on the plate?
Um, it was really hard. Like I would get like frustrated because it was like you're just like change my hands. Like I go from here to over
Right.
here, and it was just like so awkward. But like I didn't like it at first, and then eventually I came around to it, and I got pretty good at it, in my opinion, for just switching
Right.
over.
Right. So you're
Yeah.
at the top of the order, or where are you at?
Well, in Elsa, I was at the top, and then with Accelerate, we go like either top or then we flip over to the bottom. It
Right.
really depends who we play.
Right. And what do you like most about slapping?
Um, well, I like the footwork on it. I like the
Mm,
footwork of slapping, but I also like actually hitting because sometimes it surprises people that like sometimes I could place it into little places. So
right.
I like that too, and I like bunting. I really love bunting.
There you go. A little bit of small ball. Um, moving on and talking about your future college career. You know, earlier this summer, you had tweeted out that you were going to be going to Shriner, and then you had made the decision not to go because of the pandemic. Tell us a little bit more on that decision at the time and what you felt was the right choice.
Well, Shriner, it's a pretty expensive school to begin with because they're a private 4 year, and it kind of just scared me, like the fact like there's still a pandemic going on. So I was like, I feel like there's already people around me getting affected by it, like that I personally know. Like I
Hmm.
hadn't came into contact with them, but I personally knew them, like my grandparents and stuff. So I was like, well, this is like pretty serious. Like it's a pretty serious virus. But the school being expensive, like I didn't want to head it say like I'm going to go play and I'm going into a season. But if that season gets canceled, I wasn't sure like if the cost was worth all of that. Like
Right.
because it was a really expensive school.
Right. And you had made and you had also tweeted that out that you had just changed your mind and that you weren't going to go after all. And then comes Frank Phillips, Community College. How did they reach out to you and what helped you make you change your mind?
Well, they had already been reaching out to me like months prior before committing, and like even after I committed, the head coach, she actually like left already, but
Mhm.
the head coach, she'd reach out to me every 2 months or so. She'd ask me like, "Oh, how's she's like, how's select ball?" She'll be like, "Oh, I saw you put this video up. I saw this stat. I saw you posted this," and she'd just be like, "So you're always welcome, like to come to my school." And I always told her like I like the school, but I have a lot of hours. Like I have a lot of dual credit hours. So I wasn't sure if it was possible. But she reached out to me and she told me like it was still possible. Like they looked into my transcripts and everything. And they paid for my housing and some textbooks. So that really helped me out too. It was just the distance that I was iffy about.
Right, right. And then of course, I mean, you had mentioned the pandemic and another thing too is I'm sure you did your homework and you'd mentioned there's not too many cases up there where you're at, so that
Yeah,
also had to play a factor in on where you wanted to go.
yeah.
And with the whole the pandemic deal and just practicing the whole social distancing and wearing the mask deal and just did some people kind of not question you but ask you like why now and why not then and why now? Did anyone ask you those kind of questions on maybe just wondering because we're still in a
Like
pandemic?
yeah, like on my school decisions.
You're right.
Oh yeah, like for sure. I had a lot of friends and family ask me like, "Oh, you're really gonna go from like you're gonna go from 4 year to 2 year, or you're gonna go from four
Mhm.
hours away to 11 hours away." they're like, it's still the
Mhm.
same like pandemic. And I understand like at this school, like there's people coming in from everywhere. So like it might end up being the same thing. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's kind of really the cost
Right.
that really did it for me also. And if it's
Right.
like a little chance, like there's very little cases, then like I'll take it because it's better than like just staying home and regretting it. So
Right.
I took.
And and in between that time, when you had announced that you were not going to go to Shriner, was it always in your mind that you had it kind of planned that, you know what, I can still go back and play, or is it just one of those things that you said, hey, you know what, maybe this is possible, maybe I can go back?
Like to playing, like
Right.
the possibility of leaving still.
Right. Yeah. Because when you said you weren't going to Shriner between that time and going to Frank Phillips, was it kind of just one of those moments where you just said, okay, I don't think I'm going to play at all, or did something just pop up and say,
Um,
you know what, I think I can go back
yeah,
and do it?
yeah, I had like a lot of doubts about it because like
Hmm.
as soon as I decommitted, I was like, oh man, like it's already. It was like the end of July, like it was already too late. Like
Hmm.
you can't just go up to school and be like, hey, I'll decide to take your offer, because it's too late. And I
Right.
always felt like I can't do that anymore. But well, my coach from Accelerate, he always told me like we could still try to get you somewhere. Like there's always schools looking, and he didn't let me like completely doubt myself or like give up on the chance of not playing. But because I really wanted to play, like I've been wanting to play in college, and like the fact that it just got taken away, like my high school season, I had to take anything I could get, so I took
Right.
it. Yeah.
Definitely. And now that you're there, what are you most excited about, coming up this upcoming season?
Well, I met a lot of the girls yesterday, like who are supposed to be my teammates, and
Hmm.
they're all pretty friendly. Like they weren't like rude or anything, and they're pretty nice. The area's kind of like it's kind of like small. Like there's really not much here,
Hmm.
but they got a new coach also, and I met their
Okay.
assistant coach, and she was pretty like nice too. Like it didn't feel like I would feel um like really uncomfortable staying here. I actually
Hmm.
kind of like it here. So
Definitely. And as far as on the field goes, or do you still plan on playing the same positions you played in high school, or are you open to maybe trying a different position, or what are you looking at?
I want to play outfield still. I've played outfield like all my life.
Hmm.
So I kind of want to stay an outfielder, but if they like want to make me go somewhere else, then I can try it out. I don't mind. So,
And as far as y'all's off season goes, you guys gonna be having a fall season, or how are y'all's workouts going? When do you guys plan on getting underway with those?
well, tomorrow we're supposed to meet the new coach, or Wednesday, but they opened up the facilities for us. Like we just need to take an ID and show up. Like, oh, we're gonna practice here for next year's season. And
Hmm.
they'll just be like, oh, okay, well, you can go in there. Like, they don't mind. Like, they let you practice on your own, or you could take like teammates.
Hmm.
But we're supposed to meet the coach tomorrow, and they start practices in September, and they're planning on doing inter squad like the baseball team.
Hmm.
But they don't know about fall ball because they said we won't find out till the upcoming weeks to see if anything gets worse up here or not.
Right. Now that you're a college athlete, what do you feel that's going to be the biggest challenge from, before you were a high school athlete, you were at home and it was, easy to get you from home to practice and all those things. What do you feel is going to be the biggest challenge?
Um, I'd want to say like time management probably, because we have classes too. But
Hmm.
probably that and like getting used to other people because these aren't like people from back home. Like these are
Right.
people from everywhere coming over here. So like you have
Hmm.
to make connections with them some way, and if you can't make them here, how are you gonna make them on the field? So we're kind of just like trying to get to know everybody.
Right. Last question before we wrap up. Looking back at your Edcouch-Elsa career, what's a moment that maybe stood out to you, or some things that you're going to miss on playing for the Yellow Jackets?
Mm, I'm gonna miss the turf,
The turf.
but
Okay.
yeah, yeah, but I miss the girls also because I played with them since I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Hmm.
So it's kind of different, just like coming out here like to different people, and most definitely the coaches too, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and
And the
like we had mentioned.
community.
Of course, yeah, I know fully well on how well the community loves their yellow jackets. And we had mentioned before the show that Sandy's my cousin, one of your coaches there on the staff, and then of course Abby. She's gonna be a junior, I think, this year. Those two are my cousins, so definitely a small world there, a little bit of connection there. So I remember going to Sandy's games and watching her before you guys had turf, before it was grass and it was dirt and the field was not as nicely as it looks today. So I definitely remember the whole turf year when you guys got turf.
Yeah.
Definitely. Before we wrap up, any shout
Yeah.
outs or
I wasn't
hellos
an
that
athlete.
where were you originally from?
Oh, I was from La Villa. I'm
Okay,
from Elsa, but I went to La Villa and then I transferred to Elsa again.
just down the street.
Yeah, really, it's just on the street.
Just down the street. Hey, I tell you what though, that restaurant across the corner, a caddy corner from the Stripes, they got some really good breakfast tacos there in La Villa.
Oh,
That
it's
white,
JNF.
yes, best. They got some really good breakfast tacos. Before we wrap up, any shout outs you want to give to any family members or friends?
Um, I guess I'd have to thank my parents, obviously, for supporting me and bringing me this far, because I don't know who else would have brought their daughter over here and then drove back. So I have to say my parents and all my grandparents too, my cousin Sam and Alexia from Accelerate because she's the one who kept pushing me. And well, I just saw her at practice last week, and she told me like you can go to any school you want. She's like you just have to push for it. So I was like, you know what, I will. And then well, I sent that email and now I'm here. So I want to say
Perfect.
thank you to her, and well, my Accelerate team also.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
that wraps up our show with Brianna Gonzalez. She's up there playing up in at the Amarillo area, playing at the college level. You said about an 11-hour drive, more or less, at Frank Phillips College, junior college. So again, Brianna, thanks for taking the time out of your schedule and joining us on our show. And we're excited to see what you do up there. Definitely. All right. Well, we'll see you. Stay safe and enjoy your time up there. We'll see you guys.